and welcome. Today we're going to be playing Golgari, and we're going to be looking at what it will look like post-rotation here and what we can expect from the Decklist as we move on from our former sets in the Magic the Gathering standard format. But other than that, what are we doing here? What's the game plan? Golgari is notorious for being pretty much a mid-range strategy. Not quite sure what that means. We're a little bit like slow in the early game, but once we kind of get in that mid-range game, we start to pick up pace very quickly and try to either outvalue the mono red, like not mono red, but the aggro strategies in terms of removing a lot of things and then playing a threat that they can't answer. But when we face kind of a slower control deck, we can play under them and play things like Caustic Bronco and Mosswood Dread Knight and Liliana to get enough value to kind of remove them from the game before they get ahead. So outside of that, what's our game plan? Well, as I've talked about in the past when I'm playing black decks, is I'm pretty wide, well, Karavak decks, but Karavak cares about the black cards, but here I'm a little wide on my removal with 3 cut downs, 3 go for the throats. Normally you'll see this being 4 if you play any list, but considering we're in best of 1, I kind of changed this up a little bit and go to 3 of those and put in a long goodbye. Rafine is still a card that we currently have to worry about in this meta, but it will be gone post rotation, so this might fall out of the deck list whenever we're actually there. But I like to have one of each of these when Go for the Throat can't remove the artifact in play, as they are very relevant in the current meta. But Karavak kind of makes these 2 copies of every one of these removal spells. So when long goodbye is good, we can use something else that targets to allow us to recast our long goodbye or shoot a sheriff from the graveyard, and it kind of get 2 value out of this. So I like having the flexibility that this provides, even though it is kind of micro. It is something that I like to do. But other than that, we're still kind of a little heavy on our discard plan. Not as much as you will find in mono black, because it just doesn't work quite as well whenever you're adding these green kind of beatdown cards, instead of kind of the higher swing cards that you'll be playing in mono black or the mid-range value. So we're only on 2 of these instead of 3, and only on 2 of these instead of 4, as we do get like a little bit better creatures and stuff in the 3 mana slot, as Glissa is really good and Frillback's really good. But outside of that, we cover our main game plan. We are a very mid-range heavy deck, as you can tell from looking here, as we have Bronco, Mosswood that we're looking to play on turn 2, if not hold up the Go for the Throat. And then on turn 3, we kind of have to analyze our position and see if Karavak is safe to play. Normally, we don't want to rush this out. You kind of treat this like you would a Gix. Or Liliana, if it's good and we need to remove like a creature our opponent plays, and if that creature's isolated, this is really good. If it's control and they're kind of tapped out because their mana's weird, then Liliana is good to start plussing against control, as it prevents them from kind of holding back. Eventually, they have to remove this Liliana, which clears up the way for a lot of our creatures. And we have Shieldred and Hostile Investigator, along with the Harvester of Mystery. This is the first time I've had this in a deck, I believe. And this is really in here to handle Boros as kind of our sweeper in a weird way. You have to be slightly careful because this will kill your Caustic Bronco and your Mosswood Dread Knight. However, the value that it provides against Boros is probably significantly higher than just losing those creatures. And the final note, the only cards that are rotating in this deck, like I've said in the past, I'll make it quick, is Takenuma, Boseiju, and Deathcap Glade. With standard currently as fast as it is, I can't quite cut the lands. I kind of need that consistency in order to keep up and test out if the actual main board cards are going to be good enough. Because most of the time when a good land rotates out, one comes in pretty quick to replace it. But I mentioned in the outro kind of my substitutions I would make. So if you want to know them, feel free to go ahead and watch the video and see in the outro. But other than that, let's go ahead and hop into the games. And if you enjoy my content, please be sure to subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Been getting a lot of subs lately, and I don't know how to say thank you. It's very weird for me, but thank you. I honestly mean it. I hope you all actually do enjoy the content. But other than that, final note, I've thought about starting a Discord, or like, I don't know how Patreon works at all, and it wouldn't even be paid to be in, but I thought about starting a Discord where I could like talk to people or get deck recommendations or things like that, and we can kind of talk about it later. But other than that, game time. Let's go play. Bye-bye. Oh no, I'm playing a rotation deck and this card will be gone. I'm actually upset that the slow lands will be gone. I feel like the fighting mana bases after rotation is always kind of cringe. Okay, well, I need to get a Shieldred in play. I'm playing Boros Burn, of all things. Thank you, Covert, for allowing this to happen. Boros Convoke, I guess. They're just playing this thing. Interesting. Oh yeah, my bad. Never mind. I'm just dead. If I went first, I would have besieged you dead, but I did not, so here we are. My question is, do I play a Bronco or do I play a Mosswood? I think the answer is to just play my Mosswood. Ooh, I want to play it, not cycle it. I really thought this was going to be the burn deck. I've played it once. Over uploaded a video playing literally just burn spells. But we'll see. I said it's, I think, considered the third best deck in best of one. It's like weird because obviously it's so good, but normally they suffer from like a board wipe. And then everything's pretty fine. Who wants to bet that this duress is going to look at nothing? I hope it can reveal a case is what I really hope for. So I get some value off of it. And no, it misses. Alright, here's the Bronco. Nope. I got nothing. We'll have to let this 4 hit, or even if they play Immodanes, we'll probably have to let a lot of it hit. Because we'll be more or less looking to trade off a lot of these smaller pieces here. Or take off a lot of these smaller pieces. But if they do play Immodanes, they will look to trade off Immodanes plus another creature. And they do. It's just whether or not I'll survive if I block like this. I can block... Regardless, I'm blocking here, for sure. This is 8 if I block this. And then Shieldred can maybe protect me long enough. Because then it would just be 8 again plus 3 for... Oh, man. It would be enough for lethal. That sucks. I mean, I'm blocking this way. That sucks. We hope it's good enough. Here comes the case that we didn't get off the duress. Ready? Ready? Ooh. Probably should just barrel an attack here. But I could be wrong. Not entirely sure. We're in combat. They're deciding on whether or not they should do it. I think the reason I probably would, because like you don't want this to start happening. Because now you didn't do anything and I gained life. Now I set in a Bronco. I have Shieldred held up. They're going to flash in this creature. Hope it's good enough. But I'm going to be able to kind of get some things out of the way. Thanks to this Go for the Throat. We're at the point where the game is grindy. I just need to get these things off the board. Worst case scenario is they draw another Knight or Immodanes, obviously, but that's just lethal territory. Or they just had one. My bad. I think we're dead. Or the turn they took off might have saved us. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna just block effectively, I guess. Do this. Maybe they'll consider not attacking. I don't know. They should attack. I think it's lethal, but again, I don't know. It's 10. I go to 2. Okay. Sick draw. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. They don't have a creature land. We just hold. I have a cottage to bring up a block. Are we good? If it's just third Immodanes and they're tanking, I'm gonna be so mad. Not really. It'd just be kind of on line for typical Boros. They hit a land. Yeah, I agree with this. I think they knew about this. That's why they were kind of like, wow, we're still going to be here after this game. Okay. You will pass. Opponent. we are. Let's go. Yeah, like now what do you do? Do I be mana efficient? Kinda. Like, I'm not gonna be able to hit anything big with this. And I'd much rather just be mana efficient about getting like the potential chance for a cottage to attack. I'm at 5. I want to attack so bad to make like extra life gain. I just don't think I can. We've gotten lucky thus far. They've been hitting lands in typical arena fashion, but how did we win from there? They had to draw another land. Who said Boros is really bad for Golgari? I wouldn't know him. Oh, man. This is the epitome of just having a 2, 3, 4, and 5 drop that I think we have to keep this. We start off with Cottage. We cycle the Mosswood or play it depending on the matchup. And then Orzhov. Okay. This is a pretty easy option. It's just definitely the biggest one. We hit a land just naturally. Super sick. This matchup is like more of a grindy matchup, isn't it? I'd much rather actually get more info here. Normally, I'm a big advocate of you should always just play this on 3-2, especially if it's removal. But what they'll get to do is they'll get to put the Tithing Blade down, removing this kind of for free. Or we're going to look at like a bouncing of this or something. I'm unsure. So in this case, cut down is good. Maybe not the best. I'm going to... I don't remember if Liliana getting removed is going to be a big relevant thing. So I'm going to play Lily. And I'm going to work on plussing. They don't necessarily have the best things of all time. Cut down's probably fine to keep. But they don't have anything in play right now. Karavak can definitely bring it back. So I'll get rid of it for now. Cave. They're a little flooded, it seems. Does the blade get rid of Liliana? Ah, unfair. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it'll be okay. I'm only upset. Not like really, but so far cut down not seeming the need to be played. They do play a lot of 1-drops, our opponent does. Here, and then I'm just gonna play it shielded. This is 4 mana to do. They put 2 to the bottom. They don't typically play Emperor, I don't believe. There's the blade that we knew was coming eventually. That kind of sucks. But what if we just put pressure on board? Like this. Let's see what's happen. Let's see what happens here, because then we get like double cycles and things like that. They obviously can exile one. For raids, okay. If you sack the creature, I'll sack mine right along with you. Sure. Glissa, pretty good option. Karavak, also good. I think it's just double attack here and then play Glissa, though. This... I'm going to bring this up, actually. This also gives me an artifact to sacrifice so the braids gets less value. So I can exile that, and this is here. So this is an artifact. I can sack my food token. So they won't be able to just make, like, do another draw off braids. Aclazot's pretty good. I don't have removal for it, I don't believe. They sack that. I kind of find that to be slightly a mistake. A little, like, not like a major one. But the reason I find it to be so is just because it's very awkward in regards of not being able to pick it up with the creatures that they play. We'll pass here. Karavak's in play. Glissa's in play. The only thing, Aclazot's is kind of devastating. The board wipe? Do this in case of an Nganjo. Yeah. I could have double blocked with the Mosswoods. If I was going to do this, I should have just blocked with as many as I could, I guess. I guess they forgot that I could just block. Like with 2 creatures, maybe? Let's see. Liliana. Or am I sacking?
This is my home, and I don't appreciate it when people touch
We Mosswood.
I've always hated crowds.
There's a pixie. In the way. They pick up the Liliana. Kind of crazy if you ask me. 6 damage on the top rope here. Can't really afford to cycle, but I think I have to. This will target and I can cut down the pixie, I guess. But then that cost me 2 life, but it's the same like regardless. Interesting. Might just be getting Orzhov valued out of the game. I don't think I could play a thing to get Glissa back in play. That's kind of relevant. So I guess I'm just here. Target here. Make a crime happen. I'd love to bring back Shieldred or something, or like an Aklazotz myself. I just don't have the option or the mana to do so. I guess I just cut down the pixie. I lose 2. I'm at 0. I would have lost 2 regardless, but in this case, I get that creature off the board. Could argue I'm supposed to save so I can do the clue. Interesting. I can't block Aklazotz anyway, so here we go. Then I lose to that. Yeah, is what it is. I was just hoping they wouldn't do it. Good game, opponent. A little tough. I think, like, if I draw a go for the throat for Aklazotz, it changes the game a lot, or even like a Lily. But just not finding an answer to a 4/4 flying lifelinker that makes me discard. I'm going to lose that game more often than not. Go first. And it's pretty sick. I'll team it. Inflicting. Yeah, we knew you were mono red. Your avatar told us everything we needed to know. Look at me. I'm a double cut down kind of guy. I'm ready, you know? Not really. Oh no. We actually can double cut. Ooh, never mind. Perfect pickup here. As annoying as this is, I will fast and just smack my opponent. Even though they could technically play like a creature here. But having removal against this matchup is never really something to complain about too much. Hello? This one. Oh, they have nothing? Sure. That was my removal. That's all I have. I kind of like want to play the long or the cut down to kind of force him to commit next turn. Sure. It's a hard decision, I think. That's like a weird one we have to make. I would like to go find a land. We'll just go ahead and diversify a little bit, especially having a Tranquil Frill back. We definitely want to be able to kick it later. Attack. They didn't play a Swift Spear there when this was tapped in the first place. I don't feel like they have another one. I feel like they would have drawn one here. Okay. Okay. Land. Mono. Sure. And long goodbye my own Mosswood. Blooming Marsh, a little weird. At some point I obviously got to like commit. But they have like both of these that they kind of have to play this turn. So I think I'm fine to just wait. I hate this game that we're playing, but it's just one that has to be played. It's like, if they're just going to let their other card go away, then sure, dude. 3 and I can double do this. I can blow up this and then I can gain life, and I assume with this amount of cards in hand that I'm probably fine. Honestly, at 18, I might even exile their graveyard. And I know it sounds weird, but they do have a Phoenix chicken there. But one of these is definitely blowing up this. With 5 mana, I think 4 life has to be it. Because they just get so many options with like Reckless Impulse into 3 good spells that are free. And then we have to worry about like the Twin Inferno thing. Well, now they got 6 mana. Of course they commit now. I'm tapped out. Sure. But with 2 cards in the hand, how crazy can this be? Ancestral Anger, a good one. This is another thing, right? Sure. You have Twin Inferno in there? Yeah, they're going all out. They're trying to hit me for as hard as they possibly can here. I go to 7. Good game, I guess. It's up to you, bro. Good game. Like, you weren't necessarily dead, but I get it. Like, not being able to get that down and then... But that was what I was afraid of. That's why I ended up picking the life, because I was like, if I'm going to play this Frillback here, the way their hands turn out, they'd have to play 3 creatures and then bring this back for 2 red, which doesn't seem super likely in comparison to what it would be like playing Slickshot, knowing a lot of life. And if they had the Twin Inferno, I would have lost. They would have made that have double strike and would have killed me. So they had 2 red mana open, but they missed. They hit another land, so very cool. We won. I think it's Twin Inferno. Well, I could be wrong. It's only been like a game for, I don't know, like a couple of years now. I feel like me queuing into a match and connecting to a player should not cause you to crash. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It's just me. Just little old me. Who cares? Yeah. Sweet. Opponent goes first. Yes, I guess. Have like a threat to play to go for the throats. Hello? I have to play against Ninjutsu right away. Maybe that's why the client crashed. He was trying to save me. Said, hey man, you're not gonna like this. It's gonna be an artifact creature, so my go for the throat can't kill it. Watch this. Oh, it's the wrong one. I couldn't remember which one was which, but I don't play the other thing because they're probably holding like Spell Pierce, but I'm not gonna let them untap their mana. Please be the Spell Pierce. Oh, Fading Hope? Sure, that saves tempo anyway. Like, we're perfectly fine with that for the most part. That means they didn't have the Spell Pierce. But now it's what? Is it creature plus replay it? Is it... Uh-huh. Sure. Interesting. I'll do this and hope, you know?
Off you go.
Oh, that goes in hand. I know that much. Honestly, best case scenario. They just like don't get me wrong. I don't like that they got another copy of that. I just think it's significantly better than being like, hey, put in a creature and instantly be able to answer my Liliana. So here we go. I can guarantee hit my 5th land drop. I got a Pollen here. I could frill back in exile. Interesting. I don't think I have time for Mosswood, to be honest with you. Oh yeah, let Mosswood go. What are you sending back? Yeah, this one is one of the creatures I was also afraid of because it's an artifact creature, so go for the throat can't actually answer it. Do I just like let them... Yeah, I think I just wait, right? Let's fire this off. The reason why I think I wait is because they target the map with this card right here. I can then Besage you it, and then they... Oh, okay, I wanted to force. Because then I can Besage you it, or if they Ninjutsu in on the Siren, I can then go for the throat. The creature they Ninjutsu in. All interesting. All fun. All games. In turn. And this also isn't big enough to kill Liliana, so they're going to either feel obligated to do it or not. It'll be interesting. This deck typically doesn't want more mana ever. That's an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll pass again. What do we got? Land. Again, same scenarios we just talked about. If this comes in, they ninjutsu it. I just get to go for the throat the creature. If they try to glyph here, I guess they'll get to land and get the ninjutsu regardless, but then at least that's on the ground. Then I can play this, blow this up. Yeah, I like that. I don't like them getting a card that gives them value. Using 2 cards to answer that is not the way to live, I can tell you that much. But they'll get an untapped island. I forgot Besagio will allow it to come in untapped. But what do you got? I didn't know if maybe they played like something else in their deck and maybe they wanted to pivot. Does that creature have to hit me? That's my curiosity. Has to hit me. So even if they ninjutsu this in, they won't get the treasure. That hits there. No treasure to be made. The rest, this is artifact vehicle, so that's fine. The rest, Fading Hope. Not worried about that one bit. Go ahead and get this off the board so they can't protect it next turn, and then we pass. Dead draw. Sweet. Seems like a dead draw anyway. Is this counterspell? Could be. Nah, Aclazot's pretty good. It could just be like another Fading Hope, but if they Fading Hope Aclazots, they don't get to scry. I wouldn't even be opposed from them. If you don't plan on Fading Hope Aclazots, just do your own creature. And the reason for that would be you do get a scry, plus you can replay it, make another map token, activate the map token on the Siren. I could be wrong about my assumption, assuming they picked up a ninjutsu creature here. This is a deck for the most part, I think, stays around. Actually, no, it doesn't. Just a draw one. I think this is also an enchantment creature. I thought it was an artifact creature. At least I knew one of their creatures was artifact creature. Okay. This is where I play this. I do green. I blow this. Actually, that's kind of sick. Play green, and I'll blow up the Moon Circuit because it is an enchantment. They keep highlighting their map. I'll target this. Super sick. What you got for me, opponent? Nice. Now I'll try to go for the throat to Siren on their turn, because if they have protection, I'd much rather do it then. Or if they try to activate this map and put it on the Siren and target the Siren, then I'll do it. If they drew third glyph, I'm going to be a little upset, but that's an option. Here. Okay, that snapped resolve. This creature will get tapped. They might have had another ninjutsu creature in play, but that trigger ability doesn't come up until they attack. What do you got now? Oh, you're going to turn that into a creature? Sure. What would they have in hand that was stopping? It had to be this stopping priority, right? Sure. You know about Aclazots. Takunuma's pretty good. I'm just going to hold it in hand. Just to channel here to maybe find another creature if needed, or a Lily. No attacks. Interesting thing is we could probably block this with Frillback, keep Aclazots. Nice draw. But have both artifact? No, they don't. I didn't know if this was any type. The worst part about playing against this deck, and someone out there might know what I'm talking about, The worst part strictly about this deck is not knowing what you're playing against. Like, you don't know what their cards are. You don't know what they do. Like, you just have no idea. What? I have a flyer. Like, I'm blocking like this. Block makes way more sense. Like, I understand, like, that's there, but that block doesn't make near the amount of sense as you might think it did. I'm gonna move to combat. I'm gonna attack, because if you discard a land, I make a bat. But also, I'm gaining 4 life here. It's kind of discounting that anyway. Do I just play Mosswood here? I think so. I could have cycled it, but I can also channel Takenuma now. And this 1/1 prevents any flyers. They hit another one of these, which is pretty good. Obviously, it's not as good as it could be with no enchantment in play. So they're spending 3 mana plus sacrificing their land drop this turn to draw a card. A lot of good sign for us. If they double attack, we interact. If not, we double block. Get this off the board if we can. Sure. I wonder if they have counter magic in hand. If they finally found it, or they still are just holding their ninjutsu creatures. Always interesting. You never really know. With this hand, and with Akhlazot's kind of being unanswered, I'm grabbing the Glissa. I'd like to move to combat. I'd like to attack. I'm like super outgaining them now. Or they're just hitting land drops. Brutal. Play this so no more lines doesn't work. Cycle Mosswood. Hit that land drop. Call it a day. Not no more lies, by the way. Make disappear is what I was thinking of. And now this can't get through. Props to the opponent. They're sticking this out. As I say that. Good game. Good game, opponent. I get so lost when I play against that deck because I have no idea what is happening at any one given point. Also, doesn't help that Arena crashed and made me a little upset because it's been ruining a couple of my games where I'm like mid-game and then my game just freezes. I might have to reinstall again, which has been so fun in the past. I would love to do it again. But here we are. On to the outro. All right, so here we are. This is the deck list we have, and the deck list I'm pretty happy with. I'm kind of happy to get to play the Harvester of Misery. I didn't quite get to do it today, which is unfortunate because Shieldred was so good in our Boros matchup regardless, but Harvester of Misery is a very sick addition. Obviously, it's a little tough to get there. Obviously, you got to survive, but against Boros, just getting to play this and give all the other creatures -2/-2, and the only creature it really affects from us, which is kind of why it's a one of. Obviously, it can accidentally kill some of our own things, which is like Mosswood or Caustic Bronco. But realistically, against Boros, these you're trading off anyway. Like, you're most likely going to have to be forced to block with these regardless. Even if it is protect yourself from like a knight or something, or just slowly trade off and Imidanes come in, then you have to lose your creatures. But when you get to play the Harvest of Misery that can then block everything and trade off everything pretty effectively, and is a really good attacker to weave through creatures to get to planeswalkers and stuff, it's very cool. It's a very cool card to be playing, and I actually enjoyed this card being in the list instead of like, you kind of play this over the Virtue of Persistence, I think, the black one. You play this because it does roughly the same thing at instant speed instead. It's -2/-2 though, not -3, which is kind of a problem. But whenever you're using a card to target Boros, -3 doesn't change literally anything, but -2 does. I guess if they have the enchantment, it does, but at the same time, 2/2 should be pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, we're pretty stacked on our removal like we have been. I talked about this when I played Mono Black with Karavek. When I'm playing Karavek, I like to spread out my removal spells a little. Normally, you're going to be on 4 of this, and Long Goodbye is probably not in the list because it does miss a lot more, I think, than Go for the Throat and Shoot the Sheriff does. But if Long Goodbye is good and you run into Rafine, obviously we haven't hit rotation yet. Rafine's still a card that's legal. Long Goodbye is very nice to just get around that ward cost, or like a Graveyard Trespasser, you just don't have to pay it. And then whenever Karavek, you trigger the crimes again, Long Goodbye, you can use it a second time, which is why I also have 2 Shoot the Sheriffs, or in theory 2 Shoot the Sheriffs is kind of the idea. They're pretty heavy on removal as the meta tends to be a little bit more aggro right now, as Mono Red is probably the most popular deck, Mono White's pretty popular, and then Boros as well. You kind of just have to try to grind out the other slow mid-range matchups, and Domain right now is like nowhere. Also another deck that's going to like pretty much die on rotation, so I'm not too worried about building my deck to build around that. Obviously Attracts will still be legal, but all the Triomes and stuff are gone, so it gets a little bit weird. It might not, I think, hold on, I'll figure this out right now. Never mind, we're still losing to it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Interesting. But other than that, I like the one of Analyze the Pollen. It can be a thing to go find as a creature, like a Hostile Investigator is pretty cool. We can also use it to maybe find this Harvester as the one of Gildred whenever it matters, or it's just good enough. Or maybe even like a Frillback to exile a graveyard if we have enough in there for the evidence, which is somewhat hard to do in this deck, where Harvester of Misery helps even more. So we've cut down, use the Long Goodbye or something, and then cycle this Harvester of Misery on something that's 8 mana, so then our Pollen would be good. But honestly, just having this to ensure we hit another land has actually been very nice. I've been enjoying that, where it's like, I'll just go ensure I connect all my lands together. Other than that, we're still pretty high on the Duress package, which I've been enjoying. I know I just played Discard, but I was having so much fun, I kind of just wanted to run it back a little, which is why I played Golgari today. But we're a little bit lower on this, as we tend to be. We're not quite as committed to doing that, as Karavek has a little bit less like targets, because like it can't target any green things. We're not stacked up in here, stacked up in 4 Lilies and 3 Hostile Investigators, things like that. Or the Deep Cavern Bats we're not playing here, as they've kind of fallen off for Golgari as being a little too slow for us, because sometimes we got to try to close the door pretty quickly, and it lacks that kind of power that we need sometimes. But other than that, we have our mid-range plan, and that's kind of where we thrive, right? We got the Broncos, which I didn't really get to do much with today. Didn't see them very often. I saw Mosswood Dread Knight in spades today, which is quite wild. And then Frillback actually showed off and showed out today a little bit more than I thought it would, blowing up random creatures or Kimonos if it had to. But outside of that, this is where I am with Golgari. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, the rotation things, I talk about it quite often, so I'm going to make it a little quick here for people. These lands are rotating. Lands are typically things I feel comfortable with crafting almost no matter what, as long as the lands are good. They're playable in all other formats. So these 6 lands will be rotating, but as you can tell, our mana base is still going to be pretty solid, as we just are, I guess, talking to him as well, as we just add in more basics, or if we're given another type land. If not, we'll just play like Veilan or Mirix or something can fly in here, kind of acting as some of our connecting pieces, or some caverns or something. We have options to replace these lands, so it's not a big deal. Outside of that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.